Is this on?
Hi, Ian.
Hello. I'm going to hold this at official old school style. Hello and welcome to another very special edition. Here with a few close friends. You got Dan, you got Bob. Actually, this is Jake. I'm sorry, Elwood's over there, or is it Elwood and Jake? I don't remember. We got to watch that movie again. We're in a very, very privileged location. It's a secret spot somewhere in the Los Angeles. Getting a little helicopter action above. You don't hear that at our house, but we're in the San Fernando Valley. Gonna take a little time to talk about where it all started. A special guy, a lot of people from the TV show know, Victor, and I met in 1998. I was down the road in the valley, Sun Valley specifically, California, and Victor came by and he's like, "What's all this weird stuff?" I was like, "Well, I build cars." He's like, "I build cars too." So it began. We got some of the very first projects we worked on in this building here, and I'm just going to go down the line in time frame with a little story about each one. So you'll see an evolution here because Victor's been a car guy his whole life, right? But when we started working together, things started to get really weird in the best way. So I'll introduce this car. This green one is an Auburn kit car. It's mostly fiberglass, but it's super radically customized. Victor was in progress with this one when we met, and I actually had two fenders. I don't remember if they were the fronts or the rears. I had picked them up from a guy in his shop, and he's like, "What are those fenders? I'm building that car, and I'm missing pieces." Also, the windshield frame. Some people may remember back in 04, 05, I was making these cast aluminum windshield frames. So I also worked with that on this car. This hood is aluminum. This was in another shop here in the valley, and it wasn't really working. So that's when Victor and that was our very first project. He's like, "I got this car. It's fiberglass. There's an aluminum hood, and it doesn't fit, and it doesn't work."
I love that.
So
Doesn't fit, it doesn't work.
So it was our first thing was very simple. He's put in different grill. This is totally customized. But he was like, "I love these windshields." I was like, "Yeah, so it belongs on that car." The windshields I was making were actually from the Auburn kit I got the fenders from. So yeah, this was my very first one. See, this one has a top that I created. The other ones didn't have a top rail because this is pretty much the prototype for every cast aluminum frame that I reproduced. One of my favorite things about this car is the dashboard. Look at the interior. Victor is such a finisher. He's such a guy that finishes things. Every last bit of it is in direct contrast to the way that I make things, which is just kind of slam it together, prove the concept, and move on. And also the back of the car. Look at the way that this is sculpted. It's much different than the Auburn kit you'll see. You hear a lot of background noise because it's windy, just like at home.
That's so cool.
Right? Again, this is your run-of-the-mill Auburn kit car, boat tail speedster, but he's changed most of it, which is awesome. I'm not sure what subframe in the front it has. I'm not sure what's going on underneath. I've never been under it, but it's on air suspension, and
it looks like a rocket.
Yeah, and very Art Deco, right?
So Art Deco.
Yeah.
What is the name of this car?
I don't know what the name of this car is. As I mentioned, this was already pretty well along when I got involved with him in 1998. Yeah, it just says 36 Auburn on this. Most of his cars have names. I will.
Hold on. Okay, we're rolling again. I got warm clothes.
So this was the first project that Victor and I collaborated on. You could see it's super exotic, but the style that we've evolved into today, you can directly see the contrast. This is pretty tame in comparison to what we got into. The second car is this purple one. It used to be black. It's called the Misfit. This car was a four-door that he bought from Gene Winfield. Winfield had this in his lot. He was doing work to it. He converted it to a two-door like he does with so many Mercuries. And Victor made an arrangement with him and got it. From there, it came to my shop. So this would be about 2000, 23 years ago.
Wow, 23 years ago.
Yeah.
So he got it out of Gene's shop or his lot 23 years ago?
Probably even earlier, but I started working
wow.
on it 23 years ago. Yeah. It's been painted about 15,000 times because he does colors on cars like some ladies will do their fingernails.
Yep.
This is on the Mercury chassis. It's got a front clip under it. That's a Mustang 2 style, I believe. What I did on this car, full air suspension, C-notched the rear, did the whole deal in the back, did the bags on the front. This hood is motorized, so it's got one of those kits. Again, this is me in my first couple years in the shop experimenting. So Victor brought this car with no engine, and I got inside and I built one of those kits and modified it. So this hood comes up, raises forward, and tilts out. Nowadays, I'm making all that type of stuff on my own, but I was pretty proud of that. And then he said, I want some really wild ideas for the grille and bumpers. So he handed me a bunch of Cadillac parts. And at the time, just like the windshields, I was doing a lot of cast aluminum stuff. So these are modeled on a 53 Ford grille, Ford truck, F1. I changed everything around in the parameters of how they mount, and these are cast aluminum that are chrome plated. And this is a Cadillac bumper and parts cut and fused. And if you look at the weld seams on the back, about 50 million pieces. So that was quite a undertaking. My first custom bumper is this one.
Oh wow!
And it was powder coated for years. And Victor finally stepped up and paid the guy to do the thing. So it's a pretty dramatic statement. The only thing I might change on this now, I mean, it's a pretty it's been called things like regarding the male anatomy hanging down here. But the only thing I would change with this is maybe a chrome upper bar, just to give it a little upper lip. But I think it's a pretty powerful arrangement. Very, very heavy looking. On the back of the car, I did the back bumper also. This rear deck lid is motorized and comes out also. That was my first try on that. And then these are Cadillac parts too. And you'll see it's seamless. It's a one-piece bumper. Most Cadillac stuff you'll see all bolts together. But I changed just about everything around that we could.
Chrome shots.
Sunk the taillights into that, and this license plate just pops off real easy if you're going to show it. But if you're going to drive it, you know, no car looks great with a license plate on it. But again, Victor's gig is like, fit and finish. So the interior is all plush. Look at the dashboard. Everything is cool about it. Super neat.
It's so beautiful. His hair.
If you saw Faith Granger's movie, what the heck is it called? The name escapes me. Something about a deuce. That's me. The great. Anyway, this car was in a movie in the opening credits. Yeah, I got to drive this, and I waved at the camera, and I did a scene. I'll post up the name of that movie.
You're a movie star?
Hey, it's a living.
I think I'm more in love with you now.
Yeah, I had my 5 minutes of fame once on a.
Just in it for the
movie.
money. This is so cool, Ian. I love this steering wheel.
Yeah, it's actually a hubcap that Victor's real crafty like that, like me. He looks at things differently. So this is the center bullet on a hubcap.
It's very cool.
And I like this car because it's very Mercury. Everything looks pretty old-fashioned. Got a little action going on with the center console. That's modern. But this car, if you took away some of the digital stuff and the big stereo system, this car could be rolling Van Nuys Boulevard back in the day. Not 100% traditional, but pretty old school. This orange Merc, Victor had this when I met him. It's got all the right stuff. Same thing. It's subframed, air suspension, the whole deal. I don't know a lot about the build. because when I met Victor, it looked like this. He's always refining things, but yeah. One of my favorite things about this car, Jamie, I'll put the look up underneath the roof. Victor's guy, Lino, you've seen him on some of the episodes of TV. Such a talented dude. So
what am I looking at?
Look up at the roof. All right.
Wow.
So that's my cell phone light trying to light it. But I mean, to be in this car and it's like so nice inside. And again, look at the classic steering wheel, the whole thing with the grill.
Pretty. I love the pinstriping. I know my camera work is a little shaky, guys.
The term iconic lead sled, like here we are. This is very, very, it's a radical custom, but it's conservative to a point where it's just like, whoa, clean car. There's a lot of cars. We might do 2 building tour in this episode. I don't know. It depends on the edit, but we're just touching the surface here. There's a lot more.
I was like, I thought there's more.
Oh yeah.
Is there more? So this, you would say, is a classic lead sled.
This would be the poster child for lead sled, yeah. The 49 to 51 Mercury with the chopped top, etc. Yeah.
Line. Wowzers.
And there's a lot of other cars I'll get into next that use the badge lead sled, of course. But this Lincoln Zephyr was when Victor and I actually fell in love. And he was like, you're the man. You could do anything. We're going to go big. Enough of this hood and trunk and bumper action.
Oh, look at that gorgeous baby. That color.
This was our first radical project together, in that this was a rusted hunk of basically trash. It was a 4-door, just a mess. There was no bottom of the car. So he bought it, he had it acid dipped, and the whole car came apart. It was literally just a bunch of stuff on the upper 2/3 of it. So we got a Lincoln.
Where did he find this at?
He's a man of means. He's just always he's got people.
Always looking.
So if you put this next to a stock Zephyr, people think that this is a fiberglass car because it looks a lot like Carly's car, Aftershock, and there's an iconic Zephyr one-off called the what the heck is it called? My whole presentation is off today.
It's Saturday.
Yeah. Scrape. That's the name of the car. So this was definitely inspired by that car, Scrape. But you'll see we have the Zephyr, actual true Zephyr windshield that's been chopped, whereas the Scrape has a more modern version of that. And side by side, I bet they're pretty close in proportions. The fenders are much wider. The body is sectioned and chopped. The fenders are pushed out. We took a Lincoln Town Car, changed the wheelbase on the chassis, and then the Lincoln Town Car is the platform that we hung this body on. It's got a Ford 5.0 racing engine by... I
want to cry, it's so beautiful.
Van Alameda.
Like
yeah.
This here, this foil.
I'm pretty sure that's Bob Coslet.
Like, holy smokes. And then I think the camera is picking it up. I've not seen like that detail.
That's a lot of the lowrider culture also that's so prominent in Victor's heritage.
That's so incredible.
He's always down for the artwork and the stripes.
So beautiful.
This has a lot of silver leaf. That's a huge lowrider element to silver leaf the cars.
So beautiful. It looks like angel wings.
The neat thing about this car is it lived in my shop upside down on this jig for almost a year because there was no underneath of the car. Everything is framed out in round tube. I had to make the rockers, the fender surrounds, everything. Wow. All the door gaps. I had to recreate the fender and the hood and trunk openings. It's a real Zephyr grill. And then another unique thing about my aluminum casting, you'll notice these fender spears on a lot of cars, but Victor's like, nope, we need something better. I'll show you on this side, Jamie. You see this style fender spear with 2 spears, and Victor was like, I want 3 spears. So We took that,
Oh, that.
yeah, drop the camera a little bit too. That's a cast aluminum piece that we made. We took two of those original spears, made a model of it in actual fiberglass, and then took them to the foundry. And I was selling those for a while too. The 3-speared fender skirt.
Wow. Yeah, the fender skirt is something I never really knew about.
Funny story about the little back bumper. The car went to the paint shop. I made that bumper out of some 54 Bel Air parts, I think they are. Kind of identifiable, unidentifiable now, but one-off piece, and the body is bodywork to fit that specifically. Goes to the paint shop and comes back without that bumper. We're like, where's the chrome, Ian? I'm like, I don't know. The chrome was on the car when you took it to the paint shop.
Let me get past Marilyn.
Like a year goes by, and the guy at the paint shop is like, Victor, is this your piece?
Oh my!
And he found it. It was just one of those things, you know, it's put on the side.
And it's so little, they didn't really
It
know
was,
what the heck it was.
it doesn't look like anything. It's like, oh, that's the piece of the puzzle that we're missing. So yeah, the car sat for quite a while with no back detail on it. It's always a story behind a story. So again, Lead Sled. This is a Packard that Gene Winfield painted. It's got the Winfield fade.
Oh,
Gene collaborated with me on the layout of the chop and section of this car. That's recorded in our TV show. But Gene came over and spent a little bit of the afternoon, laid out the lines with me. He's like, you're going to want to do this with the windshield. You're going to want to do this with the section and the body. And then, you know, whatever else you do after that is up to you. So I was like, well, I like your style, man. If when I'm done, you'll paint it, that would be really cool. And he and Victor came to an agreement, and there it is. The grill on this is pretty far out as far as the headlights also. I blew the little bubbles on the headlights. These are Buick grill teeth with the Cadillac Dagmars, the Buick upper bar also. This may get into chrome someday, but a lot of the stuff that Victor and I have done is like always a work in progress. None of these are finished. So just like with the Misfit and the beautiful chrome grill, imagine this.
Mm-hmm.
The Merc Eater Eaterer. The Merc Eater is actually another Packard that his friend Craig owns, so it's not here in the building. But these two were twins on my friend Don's lot, and I talked them out of both because they weren't great looking cars to start with.
It does look like the Merc Eater. Like looking at it now.
If there were Merc Eaters in the world, this would be the Merc Eater Eater.
They'd be running away. Like it looks mean.
I want it to look like an angry alien.
Yeah, like it's coming to get you. Because
And
I've seen it before, but in here and this way, you can really.
oh, Winfield signed the dash too.
Oh, did he? Where, on this side or
Right in the middle.
the middle?
But you can also see the level of detail in this interior also.
Yes.
It's got the same gig going up on the ceiling, all the special patterns in the seats. Green and brown go great together.
Hold on, everyone. There's Gene.
Victor has a lot of chingas, a lot of stuff in his collection, but I was going to talk about only a few things. That was a long time ago collaboration. We did these tikis, and I want to give a shout out to Doug Dorr. I think your tiki might be in Victor's house or in the other building, but we have this cool one. We had a little collaboration with Pinstripers where it's like, hey, take a tiki, and that's Pinstripe Mike's venture. He high build primered and sanded that thing to perfection.
Wow.
And it's dusty right now,
It's
but
so cool.
it's like, yeah, candy coated tiki dream. That's Pinstripe Mike's. Doug Doors we're hoping to find.
Pinstripe Mike.
This is a lady, I believe, named Kat. That's her.
Ooh.
I don't know if she signed it. I hope she did. Again, this is 18 years ago, I think. So
I love all the weird stuff you guys are doing.
cool
It's so
arrangement.
cool.
Yeah, Victor had bought a couple truckloads of tikis for his nursery to retail them. And
She signed it?
it's right here. Oh, this is for the Moon Eyes Christmas party. So yeah, that's what that says. Yeah, she didn't sign it. Interesting. But we're gonna have a Pinstriper come in and collaborate on Jamie's hot rod project whenever that kicks
I'm
off.
excited. I haven't even asked her yet, but I can't wait to ask her.
We hope the
And
answer
you
is
guys will
yes.
have to see it. It's amazing. She's
Yeah, while we're when we put this up, feel free to chime in with any questions specifically about these things. We're gonna close up here and get into the next building. I'm gonna try to show with my
amazing. My
phone.
camera work, it's a little shaky, guys. We're
Do
doing
you look at this?
impromptu here. Wow.
So Victor's that guy, right?
That's
This is the engine cover. Look at that material. I
That's
mean,
so cool.
he's probably got strobe lights under here. All right, that wraps up this building. Let's head over to the next. The next is more like it's like cold storage. It's like a meat locker in there. Wait till you see how these cars are kept. This is the real showroom. Everything's dusted off, but we're going into the deep vault.
I like it.